Hello there and welcome. In this video I'm going to explain over 7 steps my newest Demon Barbarian build, which I am very happy with. We're going to start in number 1 with a quick intro about what we're doing here, and then in the upcoming parts we're going to go over all the moving things in this build that make it work. So, Barbarians with demons, that is a really fun concept. Sadly, the game allows you only to go into the whole demon concept from tier 2 tomes and beyond. This build focuses on a very strong early game punching power, utilizing the best out of skirmishers, and at the same time preparing for a monstrous late game. I find this build surprisingly powerful. It has a few shortcomings, which you have to play around, so it requires actually some skill to navigate it. But once you have the resources you need, it is practically a self-running system. So, let's start talking racials. That begins number 2. We got here trait-wise. Overwhelm Tactics is, for me personally, the must-have in this build. Barbarians are synergizing with critical hits so much. It would be a shame to leave that out. I went for strong because this is just another good blanket buff for everybody, because all of our units do deal some physical damage. Replace that with something else that is more to your liking if you don't like the generic taste of this thing, but I find it to be highly synergistic with a critical hit focused build, so that's why I picked it. Same venue, cheerful. Morale gains increased, so we gain critical hits faster. End of the story. With the cultural traits, we are pretty nailed on this one, at least on the mana channelers. While we basically don't use that in the tier 1 phase, ironically enough, it is so important for everything beyond, because mana is a scarce resource, and this makes us work better with things that we got. We also run runesmiths out of the same reasons. We are not good at accumulating knowledge and arcane power, and these two things together give you a nice budget version of the good stuff, so I wouldn't really know how to exchange these. If you know, let me know. Now, number 3, the tomes of this build. I start out with this one with Cryomancy. Mainly because of the economy reasons. I'm going to talk about that more in the Imperium and Cities part. Cryomancy also offers us frost arrows and frost blades, which means that our units will hit harder, which is a good thing overall. White Witches, lovely little units which can just crowd control enemies even if their damage isn't too high. This is one of the things why I love these. You could bring one into each banner of 6 units and it would be okay, but maybe a little bit less, because we are going into good battle mage stuff only later on, and these girls are mostly for the utility. But it is a very powerful thing that they offer, and their damage isn't the worst, especially the further we proceed into tier 2 and beyond. The Snow Spirit, just ignore it. Your cultural Sunderers are much better than these, and we are not after elementals, we are after fiends. End of the story. Just skip that if you can. Ice Coffin and Blizzards, on the other hand, are really useful, as is the School of Cryomancy, because it just gives you a really sweet bonus in knowledge. Also gives you an opportunity to go into Arctic Adaptation instead of Cheerful to get some extra mana. Second tome, Roots. Here we picked this up again because this is one of the most efficient ways to increase our unit power with Blight Blades and Poison Arrows. We run archers, skirmishers, and frontliners, mostly, and therefore we have the full benefit out of these enchantments, and that's what we're after. Here again, the Entwined Thrall is safe to ignore. It is better than the Ice Elemental, though, if you really want to rely on it, or you have to, because the fact remains we are good at summoning things. If you require a pop-up army, these guys are really good. I value them more than the Ice Elementals because their Poison Needle attack does work every turn, and the Ice Elementals don't. That's the end of the story. They also evolve into a badass tier 3 shield unit, which is overall pretty synergistic with the rest of your build. Vine Prison serves as a really useful disruption tool in between. Enough said. Herbalists are surprisingly useful as well, because if you have the opportunity to place them where they are synergistic, we need mana, and this is a good way of achieving that. Tier 2 comes, and we pick up Mayhem. This is for Mark of Misfortune, so we inflict misfortune with all of our ranged attacks, mostly versed towards the skirmishes, but as you see here, every backliner benefits from that, and the gremlins. Oh boy, the gremlins. So these are the first real upgrade towards your skirmishes. Hard to kill, really good to get enemies into flanking and punch them out of defense modes. Lovely critters. I 50 mana is all it takes because of our specializations. The upkeep will be the biggest issue for you at this point of the game. Curse of Misfortune and Insight Revolution are wonderful spells that all serve their purpose with this build. Especially, we are good at milking infestations, and this way you can turn mana into profit. We pick up Summoning as the next one. Double package of reasons here. For one, we need it for the affinities. The other thing is all demons happen to be magic origin units, so Arcane Restoration and Arcane Supercharge are really good spells for our build in the later stages of the game. But on top of that, the Astral Keepers are dirt cheap with what we do here, and they are good supporters, and that is really good because our cultural supporters are so good that I don't include them in my build at all. Well, anyways, that's a good opportunity to spend 10 mana to heal up your units, but more about that later. You also gain the Summoning Will, which serves here again as an opportunity to crank out more mana for the later stages of the game. Tier 3. So we go into the Tome of Pandemonium next. Havoc magic for our battle mages finally makes them really versatile. They now inflict misfortune and random statuses, which is amazing. Coupled with Vessels of Chaos, our battle mages now are crowd-controlling utility units that amplify the damage of the rest of our armies. Good stuff. The Chaos Eaters are tier 4 Infernal Fiends. That is one thing what we are also after. More about that when we hit tier 4. So these guys on themselves, though, are really useful as they can consume negative status effects for enormous amounts of damage and heal themselves. Melee battle mages, wonderful stuff. So that was one tier 3. With the other tier 3, we go back to Astral, and I have lost my heart to teleportation. You can also take Amplification, works wonderful too. Both tomes have their charm, but Amplification increases mostly damage with a smidge of knowledge income, which is really tasty, but hear me out. At this point, your units will hit like trucks already. I have managed to hit for 60 points of damage with a critical hit just with my tier 1 tomes. You don't necessarily need that much damage. The utility of the Teleportation Tome, on the other hand, offers you more income for your cities. Really good stuff. Opportunities to move your armies even more mobile over the map, which is on the Barbarian end already a really good strategical token we got. And Chronogates, so you can play stupidly expansionistic while not having the cost to take. It's just that good. The synergy between Barbarians and Teleportation is beyond insane, and if you want more damage and you like to explode things even faster, I won't judge you. I like big numbers too, so Amplification here is a good choice as well, but here we are. Tier 4 comes, and we go for Demon Gate straight up. Demon Gate gives us yet another teleporter unit. Right, that's a little bit doubly served, but the Teleportation Tome has not only the teleportation thing. Anyways, we are here for Demonkin, turning all of our units into Infernal Fiends, which makes them make critical hits more often. I have no clue. I found that extremely fun because that's extremely good for the barbs. And everybody in our army now frenzies, not only our archers, everybody. Good stuff. So we also gain Fight for Power. And here's the interesting thing. We have a tier 4 demon in our tier 3 book. Summon 2 of these and you have your tier 5 Baylor at just the entry point of tier 4 tomes. It's massive. It's lovely. I really appreciate that combo. Gremlin Ambushers is also a really massive asset as it gives you the numbers advantage in every city combat environment. Strong recommendation to research that. On top of that, yeah, demonic summoning is just amazing. Just go crazy. You have now the opportunity to pick up units like crazy, and you also can recruit Infernal Beings now, manually. Top it off with Calamity into Chaos Lord and you're golden. It's a massive build which has so flippin' much damage and so much access to big troops. I love it. Now, let's move on over to number 4, the armies and the combat system. This build is stupidly easy to navigate when it comes down to the armies. You just spam Sunderers and warriors early on. 4 Sunderers and 2 warriors make an army. 4 Sunderers, 1 warrior, and a ritualist hero make a really hard to kill army. If you take 3 Sunderers and a White Witch on top of that, you have already armies that are able to waltz down stuff like crazy. Because you have crowd control and hard-hitting troops, and yeah, it's just... what can I say? With tier 2, you gain also access to the War Shaman, but these guys, if you can, completely replace them with Ritualist heroes. If you can't, recruit them and work as good as you can with them. I don't like them because the Invigorate spell is technically a good idea. Practically, I don't know why it has to be 3 actions and this cooldown, which makes it only usable practically once or maximally twice per battle. It's just, I don't like these guys. I find that it is okay though, because the power of the barbarians is beyond stupid, and they have to have some weaknesses somewhere. Furies are your true ranged units, and, well positioned, they dish out way more damage than the Sunderers, because the Sunderers only have a one-time action which only really hits hard if it crits. But their main advantage is that they shave off the enemy's resistances, which makes them more vulnerable to statuses yet again. That is really, really nice. I didn't find too much use in this build for the Berserkers. I mean, they are cool units, don't want to say anything wrong about that, but we have so many cooler units at this point, and I found the shield plus skirmisher plus battle mage situation works so well until you enter the higher tiers where you just get higher tier units. I don't know, I didn't feel much necessity for them. Yes, you have a very weak and brittle front line, but that doesn't matter that much because you just nuke down everything which dares to get too close to your armies. And if they dare to wound you a bit, you heal that up with your ritualist heroes, but heroes are a little bit later down the road. But I just want to take that forward because I work with this build enormously much with the healing power of heroes. Now, number 5, cities and Imperium. Your cities really, really want that mana node and that magic material income. This is something that you are basically addicted to, because you want to have as much of these resources as quick as you can, because this is basically what defines how many of these very powerful magical units you can host eventually. This is really pretty much the entire bottom line here. The more magical power you accumulate, the better in this regard. Don't shy, though, to put all of these provinces into research posts, and this gives you the eligibility to build the academy in every city, because we have the School of Cryomancy, and if you choose the placement of your cities right, you can everywhere build a Scholars Guild, which is a massive asset. You also will need a early building of the Wizard Towers levels. Keep that in mind too. As you see here, mana, mana, mana. Everywhere, mana hunger. So you have to pay close attention to that income, because it is basically the most important one, because your entire army power scales directly proportionally with mana. Therefore, don't shy away from putting your starting cities pretty close together, as long as they can grow into each direction. Here, for example, I went for Rodstake's growth into this direction, kill Blood God if necessary, Crackwall into this direction, and Korheim into this direction. And as you see there, there's enough territory for all of these cities and the opportunity to crush the enemies if necessary. Once you have enough punching power, feel free to conquer and burst down the enemy if you as you want to. Imperium-wise, I chose Shadow, not by any randomness. First up, it gives you brilliant knowledge income opportunities, but secondly, Shadow Binding. This one is really important for us, you know? Like I said, we are needing that mana income so desperately, and every little bit and bob helps. If you're playing it with a Dragon Ruler like I do with Shadow Affinity, you get those skills that give you more knowledge faster and faster. I like that. Alternately, you can also play a Chaos Hero, which I personally recommend, a Chaos Dragon, to get the Demon Tome as quick as possible, but yeah, it's up to you. In the Chaos branch, which we are getting better and better, battle rewards are found. So battles become more and more potent for our culture the longer the game lasts. So this means very early wars aren't actually that much desirable for us. We want to expand early on as quick as we can. So more cities, use the nature points that we got, because with Barbarian plus a Nature Tome, you have quite some good expansionistic traits, and you even have that little bit of Materium, which makes things quite interesting in terms of outpost building, because Barbarians, outposts, teleporter provinces. So things like these really make fun happen. And we have also Astral eventually. It takes a while to kick in, but I mean, I would never take this one, for example, away, or if you can manage to get any of these later down the road. It takes very long for the build, though, so don't rely too much on them. As you see, you have a lot of things happening, which is a very versatile breed. So, number 6, the heroes. I strongly recommend to play a dragon hero because of the affinity gain. Affinity is for this build pretty appealing. Here I went for a dragon hero, which leads then affinity-wise to the fact that you need to pick the tier 4 calamity before you can pick the demon tome, which I don't find optimal at all, theme-wise. Efficiency-wise, powerful. So you have the freedom to choose whether you want to take a shadow or a chaos ritual, chaos dragon lord. I strongly recommend to make your heroes as thoroughly as possible into ritualists, because a well-skilled ritualist replaces all of your support needs entirely. Use your crowd control, use your disruption tools wisely, and you even have active health spells for healing. Overall, ritualist heroes do the trick, and you don't need to waste unit slots on the crappy war shaman. My opportunity, my opinion. So, altogether, you can comp up this with a hard-hitting hero. I would say any form of damage dealer would work well. Warrior, mage, ranger, accompanied by 2 ritualists, for example. Up to you. I see a lot of things working, but I find the healing support of the ritualists invaluable for the fact that we have a quite brittle frontline, and this allows you to just heal up that little bit of damage that your units receive while being in the aura of your warrior's shield. You know, it's very important that you use the shield wall wisely with this build, but if you do so, your units will take only moderate damage, which you can then heal up and retaliate furiously. Number 7, strategy. So I have gleaned a little bit here and there already, but I want to sum it up at this point a little bit more thoroughly. You want to have as much magic resource as possible, and this is what you are after, because you are surprisingly powerful in the early game, but it's not even your final form, so to speak. You can waltz down resource nodes in the nature with absolute ease, but I would recommend not to ruffle any feathers with your neighbors, because the thing here is, a war with a free city is all fine and dandy. Milk those incoming heroes, it's cool. But a war with an AI, you need to take them down strategically, quickly, and very decisively. And due to the fact that your economy will grow slow no matter what you do, I mean, in this run, for example, I was especially unlucky, and like 7 of 10 drops happened to be food, so my cities ended up to be stupidly big very early on, but whatever. So it depends also on your loot. That's what I'm trying to boil it down to, how you can act in the early game. But I found it to be extremely snowbally. As soon as you enter tier 2 territory, the gremlins kick in, which effectively render the enemy impossible to defend themselves, because your gremlins can just kick them out of defense modes and make them vulnerable to flanking. You have there a big tool. You start to debuff the enemies. You start to have the ability to have even more healing than before. Stuff boils over from that point. So take it slowly, pick your 3 cities early on, and develop them thoroughly. Clear out all the nodes, take your time, because when the time is right, when you're getting closer to the tier 3 territory, you'll be able to overrun anybody anyways. Another fun thing here is, I said it already in the previous point, but a lot of Sunderers paired together with a little bit of utility are devastating. But you know what's even worse? Gremlins paired together with a little bit of utility. It's a nightmare. These creatures are so stupidly hard to kill, and yeah, I can only say try it if you have the resources and enjoy. Your entire success with this build hinges on the question, how many resources can you invest into magical stuff? And if you can't get yourself magical stuff, don't fret though, just mass produce your super powerful tier 1 units, accompany them with some White Witch power, some warriors. They are integral for this build. If you don't have ritualist heroes, War Shamans Invigorate is okay. Also very important though is the defensive zone they provide. Here again, to shave the enemy's damage down. Altogether, it's an extremely fun build. I find it a little bit sad that there are no things that you can do to get into the demon path earlier. I wish it would, but here we are. It's one of the best things that came up my mind, utilizing the whole demon theme, and I hope you like it. So let me know what you think. Leave a like, leave a subscribe. Consider supporting the channel via subscription to the channel membership system, donations, or whatever tickles your fancy downstairs in the description box. Many thanks to all of you who help out, and thanks for watching this video up until the very end. Hope it was helpful for you, and see you all next time.